Well, there's the boiler in its vinegar bath, and I shall leave that at least overnight, probably maybe 2 days soaking. Now, when you're cleaning up really filthy objects like this boiler, you don't need to use brand new vinegar. I always filter out my vinegar, pour it back into bottles and use it for other cleaning jobs, because this is not going to get this boiler pristine. The job of the vinegar is to clean the inside and also to remove all of the soot and crud that's on the underside where the burner was. And you don't need immaculately clean vinegar to do that. You can reuse old stuff. So that's what we're doing here. Well, the next stage is equally as dirty and horrible, and that is paint removal on the base and the flywheel. And for that I shall be using my favourite paint stripper, which is Oven Mate Oven Cleaner. Works really well. Now, paint stripping with paint stripper is a bit of a hit and miss and fair. It all depends on what the paint was, how long it's been on there and all the rest of it. So yes, we will try it on the base and the flywheel. I won't bother using it on the Firebox because the Firebox paint will have been baked on, and it's more than likely the paint stripper won't touch it at all. I'll have to use wire wheel to clean off the Firebox. But you never know, fingers crossed, it might work on the flywheel and the base. And there you go, it's all on. As I said, this is a fairly mucky job, so if you don't like getting dirty, covered in muck, don't do it. Now we'll leave that, spread it all on really thick, rub it in with the brush, and we'll just leave it and see what it does. So if we're lucky, it will work. You know, it may do, it may not, we'll just have to wait and see. But we now have to just leave it and see what happens. It's about an hour later, and we're getting some good signs from the base here, because there's, I don't know whether it will show up on the video, but there is some bubbling going on, and the bubbling normally indicates that the Oven Mate has reacted with the paint, which is a good thing. But it just shows you how things happen. And I'm going to move the camera so you can have a close look at the flywheel, because I've just wiped the brush around the flywheel and it's revealed something which is interesting. See, it's actually revealed some paint detail. So obviously it's taken off the whatever was on the layer of paint that was on the top, and underneath is this sort of like other detail, and there's also some red appearing on the rim as well. So let's have a look at the base. Well, it's definitely had an effect. As you can see, you know, there is some of the aluminium is appearing. But it might well be worth giving this a second go with it. What I tend to do is I'll give it one once over and see what results we get, and then wash it off. And then give it another going over. But yeah, I mean, this was definitely worth doing, because it has had an effect. I'm trying to remember where it was. I think the boiler is here at this end, so this would be the area here which would get the heat, and it really doesn't seem to be doing much there. But I'll leave it a little bit longer, and then we'll wash it off and see what we've got. Well, I've given it a wash off, and the paint stripper definitely has had some effect on it. Let's close in on it so you can see a bit more clearly. There we go. Yeah, so it's actually taking it right down to the aluminium in certain places. This is just aluminium. So I'm going to give it another go. I basically think that this probably had 3 layers of paint on it. I think the original layer was black. Then there was a light green, and then there was the darker green, which is the top coat. And the flywheel has cleaned up. It's not too bad. There's still, I think, some paint. Obviously, there's still some. You can see there's some paint on it. But again, you can almost see the 3 layers of paint that were on there. Now, the flywheel is obviously cast iron, so I can clean this up on the wire wheel quite easily, and then I'll probably just skim the outer surface and probably these edges to clean those up. I can do that on the lathe, so that's not a problem. But we will put some more paint stripper on the base. Well, sometime later, after the second coating of paint stripper, and I've given it a really good working over with the brush, and as you can see, it looks pretty good now. Most of the paint is gone. There's a little bit still left on, but the bulk of it, the vast bulk of it has come off, which is the desired result. So we'll leave that a little bit longer, then I'll wash that off and we'll see where we've got to. So there we go. It's come out quite well actually. It's well worth doing because it's saved me a lot of work having taken off most of it. You know, most of the paint has come off. I've still got to do the underside, that still needs to be done, and I'm gonna have a go with it on the Firebox after all, because I did a bit of a test piece on the Firebox and it did actually start to take the paint off, so I'm going to use it on the Firebox too. But yeah, you get the principle. It's a messy job, but it's well worth doing. So that's it for now on the base plate. The paint strip has done its job. It didn't do quite such a good job underneath the base, but we can take all that off with a wire brush, which is what we'll do next. I've already started. I've done a little bit so you can see this bit at the end here. That's what it'll look like after it's been wire brushed. That won't take too long to do. The surface is actually quite rough, this aluminium, so I'm probably going to sand it, smooth it off a bit before I etch prime it. The paint stripper revealed that the Firebox has very definitely been a multitude of different colours. I think, as you can see, you know, apart from the top green, there was another layer of a green underneath that, then black, yellow, there's even some red in there. So this has obviously been multiple coats of paint. So yeah, but I was surprised that the paint strip did anything, because normally on a Firebox, as I said before, the paint is baked on and you just use it. Yeah, you know, you have to literally, you know, wire brush it off or sandblast it. The boiler has had a real good 24-hour soak in vinegar and has come up very nicely. There's still a little bit of carbon deposit on there, which is obviously just quite baked on, but that will come off. But the vast majority of the muck that was on there is now been removed by the vinegar, so that's ready for its next stage of cleaning. So let's get dirty. Well, after a significant amount of work, the large Overtype is slowly coming together. All the small brass parts, with the exception of the cylinder assembly, were put in the ultrasonic cleaner. They came up great and they were finished off with the wire wheel. The flywheel was cleaned up on the lathe. I always have trouble getting a good finish on cast iron, but it's not too bad. Particularly the rim is actually very good. But I will be painting the centre anyway, so it's not too much of a problem. What else? Yes, we cleaned the burner up and the chimney. That's just wire wheel work, and they've come up really nice. They need a proper finishing polish. The boiler has had its vinegar bath, and I've cleaned all the crap off of the underside. That took it all off, with pretty much all of it. So that's now ready for final cleaning. That needs a good polish. The Firebox, I've had one go at it with the wire wheel. As you can see, you know, we are down to the metal in certain places. I've got all the green and the yellow paint pretty much off, but the original paint, which I think was this burgundy red colour, that's still, and it's been baked on, that has, so that's going to require some work. But we're getting there. That's coming along nicely. Yeah, so it's coming. It's coming along. I'm ready to repaint the base now, and the flywheel, which they both need to be etch primed. So that will probably be the next thing I'll do. But I think this is going to look pretty amazing when it's finished. I'm really looking forward to finishing this off and seeing what it finally looks like. I'm probably going to paint the base a sort of darker green colour, because it was green, obviously. Amongst its many other colours, it was mainly green, but I didn't like that light green that it was. Dark green for the base, probably a red for the inner part of the flywheel, and black for the Firebox. So I think it should look pretty good when it's finished. Well, that's where we are at the moment. Quick update on where we are. The flywheel and base plate have had their etch primer paint coat done. That was a few days ago. Unfortunately, the British weather has returned to what it normally does in the summer, which means it's currently pissing down outside at the moment. So I need to get those painted next, but I can't do that until the weather improves somewhat. The Firebox is pretty much there. I've still got a bit more work to do on the inside, but the outside, I've got all the paint off the outside now. So that's ready for the repaint. I normally brush paint my Fireboxes, but obviously they're normally much, much smaller than that one. So due to the fact that we had some very good results with the E-Tech XHT paint on the Wilson Brothers vertical boiler outer sleeve, and that worked very well, and that was spray. I've ordered a can of the same stuff but in black, and I'm going to try that on the Firebox for this this model steam engine. What else? Oh yeah, the boiler's cleaned up really well. That was okay. There's still a few marks where the boiler straps go, but the slightly different colour to the brass there where they've been clamped over it for many years. But again, they're going to go back in the same place, so you know you're not going to see that. But yeah, it's all coming together nicely. Hopefully the next time I do an update, it will be after all the painting's done and it will be ready to go back together.